master inspector, chief cook and bottle washer, I guess, of
Head hammer swinger.
Head hammer swinger, that's what it is, of home inspection professionals. Welcome.
Well, Kevin, you're a home inspection professional, and you help people. Now, we're talking about cover your assets, man, cover your assets on this show today. We were talking earlier with Rob Peterson about the importance of adequate insurance. But here's a way to cover your assets before you spend them when you have a proper inspection, right? Talk to me about the importance of that inspection for any home buyer.
Well, going into a home, everyone gets pretty excited.
Yeah.
Pretty excited about their first home purchase or even any home purchase. What we do as home inspectors is we go in and we look for major structural deficiencies of a home. I mean, there's over 1,600 elements that we look at going into a home, whereas we'll start at the roof and we work our way all the way into the substructure. So, we're not really looking at cosmetic deficiencies, paint, chips in countertops, but we start talking about cracked heat exchangers. We talking about window seals, failures.
Those are things you want to know if it's going to happen. And if you know what the house is like, then you know what you're getting into when you go into. Doesn't mean you may want to still buy the house because it's a lower price or something, but at least you know what you're getting into.
Well, I like to counsel people. Kevin, Tim's still here. He knows. So much of the market were foreclosures for the last few years, and lots of people were buying them up, fixing them up, and selling them. And you may have a little bit of a lipstick on a pig situation here sometimes with some of that going on out there. You want a quality professional inspector who's able to get you into that attic space. Maybe it's a access in that little closet in the bedroom that I'm too old and fat to crawl through.
Well, I live for crawl spaces and attics, especially when it's 80 degrees outside.
Yeah, I'm sure you really
130
appreciate
degrees,
that. Yeah,
but that's one of our priorities. I mean, crawling into the spaces that you can't get into. Attic accesses, we have a lot of, no one ever goes up into their attic, so mold is a big issue.
Yeah.
In regards to inadequate ventilation, and once you get moisture introduced, and no one climbs up into the attic area. And as a home seller, well, I never knew that existed. Is the common?
In fact, that happened to one of our clients. They had a house on the market. We were representing the seller, and turns out that bathroom fan, it's supposed to be vented out through the roof. Somewhere over the years, the connection had fallen loose, and it was vented into the attic space. And over the years, every time they took a steamy shower and turned on their fan, they were sending all this moisture into. They had no idea that mold had been accumulating until they got an offer in their house, and a home inspection professional like yourself took a look up there and said, hey, there's a lot of mold. Well, it's all fixable.
That's right.
But you want to know what you're getting into.
Everything is fixable. And usually when we get up into attics, unless there's an active roof leak, a lot of the times what we find is that stuff is not toxic. It's usually euclidiums, cladosporiums. It's not going to be toxic mold that we talk about. The EPA deems as toxic, like Stachybotrys.
Yeah, so we got to biology class. I had no idea.
Well, we talk. Most people just say, "Is that black mold?" Well, I don't know. It all looks
mold
black
comes
to me.
in a lot of different colors,
Yeah.
and once again, when the spores start to combine, you can get a rainbow of colors.
Yeah.
But just not to alarm people, a lot of times the stuff that we find up in attics is not really toxic. But once again, if you have respiratory ailments or if you have underdeveloped lungs, something could affect you.
And different people have different tolerances. I think some people are more like allergic even, so you wouldn't call it a toxic mold, but for them it's a real problem because, of their allergy or whatever.
And that's at least something and you can fix. But I know you'll remember this, somebody that we talked to, it wasn't a client of ours, but another real estate agent said they sold somebody a house, they wouldn't get a home inspection, their uncle or somebody went through and, it
that's
looks
my biggest
good.
Competition.
Yeah.
Uncle Joe.
My brother,
the carpenter. Closed on the house.
Yeah.
And then found out there was no plumbing underneath the house. All the plumbing was inside the house, but on the bottom of the house, just turn on the drain, it was going straight underneath the house.
Sure. Crawl spaces. And that's the other thing, too. We start talking about crawl spaces, and when we climb in there, if we can access, we like to go underneath there, but that's probably one of my biggest deficiencies that I find is that the drains, especially underneath the bathtub, the seal is gone over years, and you turn on the shower every time and it's discharging right into the attic. And the important thing about that too is, especially if you have an HVAC system that runs underneath the crawl space, every time you kick on your fan, your air conditioning unit or your furnace, that moisture and that humidity that's underneath the house, you actually can pick that up and you can recycle that through the entire house.
Yeah.
So, all of a sudden your eyes are watering. I'm not feeling good. Well, you get underneath your crawl space and it has, without the proper visqueen, the proper ventilation, we could have a little bit of...
Yeah, folks, you're listening to Michigan Real Talk. We're talking with Kevin Stripling, home inspection professional, the importance of an inspection so that you are covering your assets. We're going to be back after the break to talk more with Kevin, because not only are we going to talk about the importance of having that inspection up front, but Kevin really